Hello, my name is Tenjiao Chen. I'm a research economist at Ju Labs Incorporated. The title of my presentation today is The Impact of Banning Electronic Nicotine Delivery System (ENDS) on Combustible Cigarette Sales, Evidence from U.S. State-Level Policies. Other co-authors of this study include Dr. Yingying Shi, Ms. Lanxin Jiang, and Dr. Shivani Prakash. This study has been recently published by Value in Health, a reputable peer-reviewed scientific journal with a high impact factor. This slide shows the disclosure of this study. In the fall of 2019, an outbreak of e-cigarette or vaping product use associated lung injury, E-Valley, raised public health concerns and focused media attention on ENDS. Although it was eventually determined in February 2020 that E-Valley cases were strongly linked to vitamin E acetate additive in primarily illicit THC-containing vaping products, several states announced emergency bans on the sales of ENDS in the fall of 2019. This study used the state-level syndicated sales data collected by Information Resources Incorporated to assess how state-level 4 ENDS bans implemented in Massachusetts and non-tobacco flavored ENDS bans in Rhode Island and Washington have affected cigarette sales. We provide new evidence that banning ENDS was associated with increased cigarette sales. There are 3 states in this study where ENDS sales bans went into effect for a meaningful length of time period in the fall of 2019. Massachusetts instituted an emergency ban on all ENDS products starting on September 24, 2019. This fall ENDS ban was replaced by a new tobacco control policy that only allows sales of tobacco-flavored ENDS that have a nicotine concentration of lower than 35 mg per milliliter effective from December 11, 2019. Both Rhode Island and Washington issued 4-month emergency bans on non-tobacco flavored ENDS, which went into effect on October 4th and October 10th in 2019, respectively. In addition, a few states instituted bans that were subsequently halted by judges. We used the difference in differences and generalized the synthetic control methods with various specifications to estimate the impact of the ENDS bans on cigarette sales. By comparing treatment states that passed ENDS bans in fall 2019, halted states that revoked the announced ENDS bans, and control states. Our models statistically controlled for time trends, state fixed effects, and various state-level control variables. Next, I'm going to talk about our results and main findings. Our preferred specification using the difference in differences model suggests that the fall ban of ENDS in Massachusetts was associated with cigarette sales to be 7.5% higher, or approximately 1.7 million more packs sold than they would have been otherwise. Banning non-tobacco flavored ENDS was also associated with 4.6% higher than expected cigarette sales in Washington and Rhode Island on average, or another 1.7 million more packs sold combined from these 2 states. On the other hand, we did not detect significant increases in cigarette sales in halted states, in which the proposed ENDS sales bans were reversed or invalidated by the courts shortly after they were enacted or announced. To check the robustness of our results and to better visualize the estimated impact, we also implemented analysis based on synthetic control methods. Here is a figure for Massachusetts. The x-axis is the timeline, and the y-axis indicates weekly per capita cigarette sales. The dark blue line shows the actual observed sales, while the light blue line shows the counterfactual sales estimated by the generalized synthetic control methods. We can see that the estimated cigarette sales aligned well with the actual sales in the pre-ban period, and then these 2 lines diverged immediately after the implementation of the ENDS ban. The gap between the observed and estimated sales in the post-ban period provides an estimate of the impact of ENDS ban on cigarette sales. Depending on different methods and specifications, the 4-ends ban in Massachusetts was associated with an increase in overall per capita cigarette sales ranging from 3.4% to 8.8%. In Washington, again, the light blue line is weekly cigarette sales per capita estimated by our model, and the dark blue line is actual weekly cigarette sales per capita. In the post-ban period, the lines clearly diverge, as actual cigarette sales were significantly higher than the predictions based on sales in the rest of the country from the same time period. The non-tobacco flavored ends ban in Washington was associated with an increase in overall per capita cigarette sales ranging from 3.6% to 8.7% across a number of robustness checks. In Rhode Island, similarly, the estimated and actual cigarette sales aligned well in the pre-ban period, but then appeared a consistent gap between them after the state banned non-tobacco flavored ends. Although specific estimates varied across different methods and specifications, overall, our results are consistent and statistically significant. In summary, using state-level commercial sales data, this study provides novel and strong empirical evidence that banning ends was associated with increased cigarette sales. Our results highlight and quantify potential unintended consequences of end sale restrictions, which should be considered in future policy deliberations on tobacco products. Additional research is needed to investigating spatial spillover effects, long-term effects, illicit markets, public health outcomes, and other things that may arise in response to end restrictions when additional data become available.